Welcome back to Travels with Alicia. In this episode, I'll talk about all the places to visit and the amazing food in Nashville. In the last episode, I covered the music industry in Nashville, and that is what Nashville is most known for. But if you are lucky enough to visit Nashville, I really think you should know about all the other things to do while you're in the area. So before we jump into what to do, let me just tell you a little bit of history. And how did Nashville even become a town? I will tell you that this area is known as the French Lick, and that's due to a natural salt lick that attracts wild game. And a salt lick is just a place where animals gather to consume mineral deposits that are actually found in the soil. It could be sodium, calcium, phosphorus, but the animals need it for their healthy bones and muscles, so they know to go to these areas. And what happened is it attracted fur traders. And these fur traders, went there, obviously because there's all these animals. And the area was settled by Europeans as a trading post in the late 17th and early 18th century. And then in 1779, the pioneers from North Carolina moved to the area and constructed Fort Nashboro, and they named it in honor of an American Revolutionary War general, Francis Nash. So there you go. That's the history of Nashville. I really love Nashville. I love it because it has great weather. While it has all four seasons, the spring and fall are just beautiful with mild weather, and kind of recommend visiting during that time. Nashville is the capital of Tennessee, and it's in the southeast of the United States. It sits along the Cumberland River, and it is known for amazing Southern hospitality. So I think what I'd like to do is first talk about the food scene in Nashville. I will tell you, it is so diverse. I've been going to Nashville for definitely 20 plus years, and I will say I have seen a massive difference. The level of options from farm to table to all kinds of international foods, very high-end restaurants, all are available in addition to your Southern classics. So I want to start with what Nashville's most known for, and they are known for Southern classics, and one of them that you will see everywhere is hot chicken. And it's definitely a Nashville staple. It's basically fried chicken coated in a spicy cayenne-infused paste. A lot of times you'll see it served on white bread with dill pickles, and that kind of is supposed to, the white bread provides a cooling contrast. So I know it doesn't sound too high-end culinary there, but people love it. And the chicken will be marinated in buttermilk. It's really tender, and then it's battered and fried before it's coated. So Hattie B's and Prince's are the most famous places to get hot chicken. I will tell you, both can be found downtown. So if you are in the tourist section, you can find them, both of them. Prince's has higher heat options. They have 8 levels of heat if you really like spicy. But Hattie B's has a much larger menu, and they even have things like fried dill pickles, which I actually tried last time I was in Nashville. I did not want to like them, but I love them, especially with ranch dressing. So make sure you try hot chicken. The next thing, and I found this funny the way they call it a meat and three. All it says is it's kind of like these are kitchens, not fancy, more like a cafeteria style. So you would basically get a meat, like a fried fish or a roast beef, a chicken, and then you get 3 sides. There are several of these places downtown, even in the Gulch area, which we'll talk about. And again, they're called meat and three, and I've seen they really range from about $15 to $20 a plate. Another thing that Nashville is very famous for is biscuits. They can be served with gravy or with preserves, but it is the quintessential Southern breakfast item. And I will tell you, the last 2 times I went to Biscuit Love, and these are just legendary. They were so good, and there's several Biscuit Loves around Nashville. But I also have to mention one other place to get biscuits, and it's called the Loveless Cafe. This place is about 25 minutes from downtown Nashville, but if you can, it's a must. I have been there and I can tell you it's definitely worth the trip to this famous spot. This place has some amazing history. Lon and Annie Lovelace began serving fried chicken and biscuits from their home's front porch to travelers on Highway 100, which is like the route between Nashville and Memphis. And they became so popular that they even built a motel there. Now that's since closed, and this restaurant has been renovated, and it actually won some award for the best renovation of an iconic institution. So now, I think it changed hands a few times, but it's now owned by Charles Elkin and Tricia Frist, and they bought it in 2014. And just so you know, over 500,000 visitors visit the Lovelace Cafe every year, and they still use the original recipes that were there. So, again, please try to make it to the Lovelace Cafe. Also, so many famous people have been there, like Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, Elvis Presley, Alan Jackson. I mean, I can't even go on. Pretty much everyone in Nashville has been to the Lovelace Cafe. But you know what else is interesting? Martha Stewart said it was the best breakfast she had ever eaten. Okay, hopefully I convinced you to make it to the Lovelace Cafe. The last thing I'm going to mention around types of food is barbecue. So Nashville has excellent barbecue, all the way from pulled pork to brisket. And there's no single best place in Nashville. I think it depends on your preference. But there's several that are very popular. Peg Leg Porker and Martin's Barbecue Joint. You know, again, you can just look up. There are a lot of barbecue places, and that's something you'll definitely have to try when you're in Nashville. So what should you do? You've done all the music stuff, and now you're saying, what else can I do? Well, if you're downtown, one of the things I highly recommend you do is visit the Frist Art Museum. This is actually in a former post office, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And it's really interesting because there is no there's no permanent art collection. It's all like visiting, rotating exhibitions from around the world. So you will always find something new there. And another interesting thing just to mention is that I think I mentioned who bought the Lovelace Cafe. It was Tricia Frist, and her father is the one that has the foundation that opened the Frist Art Museum. So now you know all the inside scoop. Another thing to do if you're downtown Nashville is go to the Lane Motor Museum. And this is located just outside of Nashville, and it's a must-see for any car enthusiast. It has a huge collection of European automobiles. It's actually the largest collection, and it specializes in interesting, unique, and European and Asian cars. So Jeff Lane is the owner and president, and he founded the museum in 2002, and he donated 70 to 80 cars from his personal collection to get it started. So definitely, I would go visit that if you're around. So we talked a lot about food, so I'm not going to go through too much about downtown, but I'm going to mention one place I think you should go. There is a place called Assembly Food Hall, and this opened in 2021. So it's relatively new, it's modern, it's industrial. Food halls are like the new take on food courts, but they're much nicer. There is many restaurants in this Assembly Food Hall, and it's right in the center of downtown. So I was there, I think, twice on my last visit. I think there's like more than 30 restaurants in there, and they even have stages for live music. So one thing I'll mention is when we talked about the hot chicken places, both Prince's and Hattie B's, there's a location inside the Assembly Food Hall, and Hattie B's is right outside of it. So you could try both of those chickens and compare them if you happened to go to the Assembly Food Hall. So it does have all kinds. I mean, they had Asian restaurants in there and Italian. Your whole group would be happy, and it's a really nice environment. I will say there are also some very high-end dining right there on Broadway. It's not just the music places with whatever they're serving. You can go to the 1230 Club. That is a gorgeous place, upscale dining, and it's, I think, partly owned by Justin Timberlake. There's also the Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse. Extremely nice, great atmosphere. And I went to the Sinatra Bar and Lounge, and I will tell you, that was fun. It had excellent food, and it had really like that Rat Pack live music going on. So, I guess the other thing you could do if you're downtown is you could do some shopping. I mean, I don't think it's the best shopping, but there's some really interesting things. There is the Nashville Arcade that has some unique shops in it. There is the Hat Show Print, which is a place that sells all these vintage concert posters, and that's cool. One thing that's really unique is there's a place, the Goo Goo Chocolate Company, and Goo Goo Chocolate was actually originated in Nashville in 1912, and it's America's first combination candy bar. So it's like marshmallow, nougat, caramel, and peanuts, and you can see it's a huge, almost like a factory type store, so it's a lot of fun to go in there. When you're downtown, you'll see a lot of places where you can buy like country clothing and cowboy boots. Some of these are not the most high end, but they're discounted and they're fun. And if you want to buy a pair, it's just not going to break the bank. And so it's a reasonable option. If you like downtown or you happen to be at a convention or something, there's some really nice hotels. The Four Seasons has an infinity pool right on the Cumberland River and a rooftop bar. The Hermitage is a historical hotel, and the JW Marriott is just a favorite of convention goers. So that covers the real center of downtown near Broadway. Next, I want to tell you about the Gulch. This is about a mile from downtown, and it is another area of Nashville. It's trendy, it's modern, it's walkable. It used to be very industrialized, but it's been revitalized. It's known for upscale condos and definitely a more high-end feel. My son Dimitri lived in the Gulch about 10 years ago, and I will tell you, the area has grown up so much since then. I hardly even recognized it. It has diverse food, everything from ramen, Indian food, to upscale Southern fare. As I mentioned earlier, there's a biscuit love here, which is amazing. This area is also known for cocktail places and rooftop bars. It's a really nice place for people who actually want to live really close to downtown. Also, the shopping is a little more high-end. There are boutiques. There are also some places like to buy cowboy boots that are really, excellent cowboy boots, like ones that you may pay over $1,000 for, ones that your favorite country star might be wearing on stage, things like that. So it's worth going out to this area to find those places. If you want to stay in the Gulch, there are a lot of condos, so you can find things on Airbnb, but also the W Hotel and the Thompson are out in the Gulch. And they're, as you can see, this is a trendier area and they are more upscale and trendy hotel options. So another area that you should visit is 12 South. And I will tell you, Dimitri and I were talking about this. This wasn't even a thing when he lived there. I mean, there was really, he said, I think there was two places, Edley's Barbecue and a drum store. And the drum store has since moved. So this area is just exploding now. It's one of Nashville's most walkable neighborhoods. It is about a half a mile stretch, and it is full of shops, places to eat, bars, everything you can imagine to enjoy a couple hours walking around here. Right now, Edley's Barbecue is still there, so if you want to try barbecue, definitely head there. There's trendy places like the Frothy Monkey where people hang out at a cafe, and it's great for coffee and brunch. But there's also a lot of stores. And so one is called White's Mercantile, which is a general store, but there's several of them, and they're, I think, kind of upscale and trendy. And one of the famous places is called Love Shack Fancy. And I will tell you, every young girl that loves pink will love it. The whole building's pink. There is, a mural outside, but just, it's gorgeous. And I'll tell you, that's the place that when I take an Uber and I want to get dropped off here, I always say, drop me off at Love Shack Fancy, because it's iconic and you can always find it and it's easy to remember. Also, Draper James is here, and that's Reese Witherspoon's boutique. So it's located in 12 South. I think I've also mentioned there are murals like on Love Shack Fancy, but there's some nice murals for people taking photo pictures and different things. They don't have a lot of hotels in this area, but there is a hotel called the Gilmore, and it's like a Mediterranean-inspired place, and it's very highly rated. And it has a rooftop terrace. So if you want to stay in that area, the Gilmore would be the hotel to remember. So I'm going to mention another area. It's called Germantown. And this has more Victorian homes, cobblestone streets. It's quiet. It's much quieter than downtown. They have a lot of farm-to-table type restaurants, Rolf and Daughters. There's a place called Henrietta Red, which is seafood and oysters. And there's something called Geist, and that's in a historic blacksmith building. So it has a really great atmosphere. There is also nice shopping, leather goods stores and coffee shops and things like that. It's not a very big area. The Germantown Inn is the place to stay there. And that is actually in a restored 1865 federal-style home. And the suites are named after U.S. presidents. It's definitely boutique-ish. They have a nice happy hour and supposedly a great breakfast. People love it. It's only 3-star, but I think if you want to stay in that area, stay at the Germantown Inn. And I think the last area I'll mention is East Nashville. And this is more creative. It's a local Nashville. It's artsy. It's dive bars. It feels like has an indie feel to it. It's across from the Cumberland River, and it definitely has a different perspective and feel. Again, you can find great restaurants, things especially like pizza. There's a lot of pizza places out there. But one thing is fun about this area is there's a lot of vintage shops, a lot of record stores and boutiques are all gathered around 5 Points and along Gallatin Avenue. You will find, again, a lot of street art and murals in this area, and it's just fun to scroll around and discover them. So it's not just country music in East Nashville. It's known to have a lot of alternative music. So if you're into that, that would be a fun thing to visit that area. And they also have a farmer's market in that area. Oh, I think I am going to mention one more area. I don't want to skip Hillsborough Village. This is more of a college town, but this is where Vanderbilt and Belmont are. And so it's really cool to visit this area. I know even before my son moved there, we had a time where we really went and we visited Vanderbilt and Belmont. If you have like middle school, high school age kids, they're actually beautiful campuses, but it was fun to go to the bookstores and, get the sweatshirts, and it's just a really nice area. There's a lot to do in this area. There's a lot of shops and restaurants, but it's fun to be in that atmosphere. And I will tell you, Nashville's actually known as, for higher education. This whole area, and a lot of it's in this area, in the Hillsborough area. Another thing about Hillsborough is Ann Patchett, the author. You may have heard of her. She's an award-winning novelist. She's a Nashville resident, and she also is the co-owner of a bookstore. It's called Parnassus Books, and it's on Hillsborough Pike. So if you're in the area or you're a fan of Ann Patchett, check that out. So I've talked about, I think we've gone through maybe 6 or 7 different areas of Nashville. So you can see there's a lot to visit if you're there. I do want to mention just a few day trips. One is to Franklin, and that is about 20 to 25 miles south of Nashville. It is a charming town. It is historic. There's a lot of Civil War history there. So if you can, go visit Franklin. They have some great restaurants, upscale. A lot of the famous people don't live downtown. So like Keith Urban, Nicole Kidman, they live out in Franklin. Carrie Underwood, Reese Witherspoon, Luke Bryant, Miley Cyrus, they all have homes out in Franklin. So it's just a cool suburb or calmer area to check out. Also, Brentwood is 10 miles south of Nashville. And this is also known for luxury homes and things like that. And Dolly Parton has a home there. She actually still lives in her relatively modest home. She's lived there for decades. But there are tons of famous people that actually live out in Brentwood. It's just a nice area to go visit if you've got a car and you can drive around. I will also mention Memphis. It is not a day trip in my mind because it's 3 hours, a little over 3 hours each way. But if you are really a fan of music and you want to do this trip, you could do it at the beginning or the end of your trip. Or if you don't mind driving a lot, you could drive to Memphis and make it back in one day. And if you do, you would see Graceland, the home of Elvis, the Civil Rights Museum, Sun Studios, things like that. It's enough that it might be worth just mentioning that if you're in Nashville, it's not too far away. So I'm going to give you one bonus, which I don't think a lot of people know about Nashville. Nashville is actually the largest settlement of Kurdish people in the United States. And Kurdish people are an ethnic group that's native to several countries. So if we look at what is Kurdistan, it's actually part of Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. And there are so many Kurdish people in the Nashville area. They started coming in 1976, but there's been many waves since. And so there is an area called Little Kurdistan. And I'm just telling you about that because a lot of people are curious about other kinds of people. And honestly, one of the fun things to do would be to try one of the restaurants. And there's a restaurant called the Odessa Restaurant, Kurdish Turkish Cuisine, and it is rated very highly. And so if you want to do something totally different, you could check out this area and try a Kurdish restaurant. So there, I think I've really covered a lot. I've covered the neighborhoods, the food, a couple day trips, and something really unique if you want to go to a Kurdish area. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Travels with Alicia. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'll share my recent experience in San Diego, California.